from the Cleveland Clinic. You and I are getting grayer by the day, aren't we? You and me, buddy.
One of the ladies who's been here for a long time pointed that out to me before coming in.
Lucky you.
Oh, nice. That's very kind
It's a
of her.
service she provides that we do free of charge. I mentioned earlier that younger veterans, of course, tomorrow's Veterans Day. I mentioned earlier that younger veterans are by and large more uncomfortable with being told, thank you for your service. So tomorrow, being Veterans Day, if you run into Dr. Ryan Berglund, say, thank you for performing Alan's vasectomy, since tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of me getting snipped. It's like it was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
No complications. Before I did it, it took me a long time to pull the trigger, and before I did it or even made my appointment, we had consulted.
Well, Dr.
And
Berglund,
we had taken countless calls over the years from people who had had it done, and some of them had some horror stories, and you were very candid. You were like, look, surgical procedure, something could happen. Mine, clean as a whistle.
Every now and then, it's gonna blow up into an eggplant.
Oh,
you know?
God, and we would talk to those people.
It does happen.
Yeah.
Dr. Berglund did say to me, and sorry to air this out there, that he didn't appreciate the moaning.
I was going, oh yeah. Well,
That's
I'm not surprised he didn't want you to tell me that, but yeah. But it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was concerned, but there was no reason for concern.
But part of it is you just use common sense. Some of these guys come in, you have to take a couple of days off. I assume you did that, right?
I did.
So every now and then I'll have a guy.
Because it was on a Friday when we did it. Yep. So I had the weekend. Yep.
I did 3 of them today, and it's the same thing. 2 of them, by the way, are listeners. The first guy wanted to offer some words of wisdom to you, and then just really couldn't come up with very much.
That's all right.
You don't have to offer words of wisdom. Love me, love you, hate the show.
Love you, love me.
Love you, love
Yeah.
me, hate the show.
But some of these guys will test me on it. They'll go out and play a round of golf or something, and then they call me on Monday with a problem.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, they'll.
Oh, see, that's why you're trying to test the doctor after you had a vasectomy. Yeah. No, I was gingerly doing everything afterwards, Dr. Ryan Berglund, this is the last appearance for 2023. So, guys, if there's some weird stuff going on down there, this is a great time to avail yourself of his wisdom. He's a surgical urologist over there at the Cleveland Clinic. And our segment here is called Is It Red?
Is it red? Does it itch? Does it hurt like a bitch? Is it red? Is it red? Is it red?
So, guys, if you have questions, you can call them in, 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007. You can text them to me. You can email me, alan@alancoxshow.com. You can leave them on the iHeartRadio app if you want to do the messages there. Here is an anonymous email. About a month ago, I noticed a small whitish bump on the head near the rim. I was worried, so I got it checked for all the HEPs and the STDs. The doctor thinks it's a sebaceous cyst, and there's nothing she can do about it. But it's still there, and it looks as if another one is forming a little way from it. Mm-hmm. Is this something Dr. Berglund says I should be worried about, or is there something I can do to get rid of these?
Those little spots are very common.
Okay.
And the small ones are pearly penile papules.
That's what I was
We've discussed those ad nauseum over the years.
That's right.
And sebaceous cysts are oftentimes a little bit larger. They can be removed, but the question always becomes, is it worth removing it? Because you can get some scar tissue and some problems from the removal. A lot of times they kind of work themselves out, but if it really becomes distressing appearance-wise, it's something that's hard to explain to a partner, for instance, we can take them out, but it's surgery. It's a little surgical procedure.
Are these things that you can ascertain are they random? Are they hygienic in nature? Are they hormonal? Are they congenital?
People are just prone to them. We don't have a good answer.
Prone to them, okay.
I don't think it's hygienic.
Yeah.
There may be some genetic element to it. Some people can get severe problems where you have a garden of these things on their scrotum and penis. And it's pretty
You do
impressive.
not want a scrotum garden, as far as I understand the problem.
Yeah.
Question for Dr. Berglund: how long until Alan will be able to perform after that on-air debacle with Keith Hotchkiss? Well, that was before Dr. Berglund got here, and that's a great question, but I may be the only one to answer that. Alan, my son was circumcised, and they didn't take off enough skin. I've had to pull it back with every diaper change, breaking adhesions all the time. He's now 1, and I asked for a consult. Pediatrician keeps saying it'll be fine when he gets older. We don't need one. I don't want to have to wait too long, but it hasn't gotten much better. Thoughts on if he'll be fine as he grows, or should I push for another opinion?
You know, without seeing it, having a little bit of redundant skin is usually not a big deal. And it's one of those things where it's easy to take a little more off, but once you've taken too much off, you can't put it back. So I think there is a little bit of maybe underdoing them these days.
Better to err on the side of caution.
Correct, because it's not a big deal to go back and take a little bit more off. I would not worry about it at a young age. If it does become a little bit problematic down the road, have somebody see it. You can always do a revision of a circumcision. It's not that big a deal.
People want to know, you're out of the main campus, yes? Is that
Actually,
what that is?
I'm now at Hillcrest full-time.
Oh, you're at Hillcrest now?
Hillcrest full-time.
Is that where I went to get my thing done? Okay.
Yes.
So that people are asking, where is Dr. Bergelin's office? Hillcrest.
That's correct.
Okay. Why do 2 or sometimes even 3 urine streams flow when I pee? It happens a lot. Is something wrong with my urinary meatus? Oh, God.
That's one possible source. You can get a meatal stenosis where the opening can turn into literally a pinpoint where, the stream can be broken up or can be very, very narrow, can be difficult to empty. But actually anywhere along the urinary tract, you can have a disruption that can cause turbulence and make the stream split. Some guys who have very large prostates, for instance, will spray their stream.
Right.
I never want to hear turbulence in peeing. Like, have some turbulence.
Or you must have missed redundant skin. That's another one that I don't know that I want to be contending with. I was reading a thing that, because some guys do it this month, No Nut November. And I was reading, where they're like, I'm abstaining from popping off for 30 days or however it is. I don't know if it began as a fundraiser. I don't know if it still is, like testicular cancer or something, maybe. Something like that. But there's also a lot of... Everyone has opinions on everything now, and so when you get online, there's people that are kind of engaging in public shaming and things like that. And I was reading a thing that said that it might not be healthy to abstain that much. Is that something that's probably a case-by-case basis, or that's somebody looking for clicks? Yeah,
it's probably a question that may never be answered, but it's probably not a big deal to do that.
If you have a question for Dr. Bergelin, you want to call it in, you can remain anonymous. Obviously, if you want to, you can talk to Poundcake and it'll put you on hold. It is 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007. Let me give you this money here, and we'll get back to it. It is $1,000, courtesy of the Buzzard Bookie, and you got a shot right now. So listen closely and good luck.
This is your chance to bet with the Buzzard Bookie and win $1,000 now. Enter this nationwide keyword at WMMS.com. Grand. That's grand. Enter it now at WMMS.com.
Pearly penile papules can be removed at home with a pair of nail clippers. Now, I don't have to be a physician to know that's probably not best practices.
I've had some horror
Clean
stories.
nail clippers.
Oh, clean ones. Oh, freshly sharpened.
Yeah, I'm not endorsing that.
Okay.
I want to be very clear.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, like,
Coward.
but I'm surprised that anybody, listen, the state of healthcare being what it is, you can't put anything past anybody, but I'm really surprised that that's where somebody would default. They go, I'll just do this myself. It's a very sensitive area. If it was like your arm or something we were talking about, that might be different, but...
One of my first exposures to urology when I was in medical school was a guy who tried to treat his own venereal warts with an industrial caustic agent and burned himself very badly.
No good.
Not a good idea.
I was dating a woman for about a year. Initially, she told me that she had herpes before we had sex. As the relationship progressed, she convinced me not to use a condom and justified it by telling me her doctor said it would be okay if she wasn't showing symptoms. Is this true?
Unfortunately, no.
If you got it, right?
You can shed virus without having visible lesions. That's correct. You're most infectious when you have visible lesions, but you can shed virus even when you're not.
Is there ever a time when you're not shedding the virus if you have herpes? So a lot of people have it.
The answer is yes, there are periods of time, but it's just hard to know when that is.
Right.
And so you're taking a risk. If you're in a committed relationship and you understand the risks involved and you're not showing anything, perhaps that's a decision that you can make. But you can contract the virus even if you don't see an open sore.
This looks like shorthand. It's a text. I don't know. Tell Dr. Berglund, in laminar flow. Does that mean something?
They're just talking about turbulence. With the urine flow. Yeah.
Well, laminar flow is when looks like it's still, right?
It's been a long time.
I don't know what that is. Yeah, okay.
I'm just a simple country urologist.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I'm terrible at that stuff. So, Alan, are we going to get any clarity on the blue balls? We're talking about blue balls before, and Bill goes, well, that's not real. And I said, I'm pretty sure Dr. Berglund told us it was real.
It's real. Yeah. It's a real phenomenon. Yeah.
I literally just saw a TikTok today where someone's like, it's not like
TikTok.
It was a doctor, just like Dr. Berglund saying.
People can get severe. We see it regularly.
Okay.
People can get some severe testicular pain.
Is that why the No Nut November is potentially unhealthy?
That's if you get all worked up, and then
doesn't happen.
Edging November is probably not a great idea.
Right.
That is a real phenomenon.
Yeah. Here is a message off of the iHeartRadio app.
I developed a major bend to the left in my penis after my motorcycle accident. How can that be fixed?
A major bend in his penis after a motorcycle accident.
The left.
That is Peyronie's disease.
Okay.
Now,
so completely coincidental or he did something and it stayed that way?
He must have been riding hard.
It looks like the curve I crashed on.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to be. I don't want to say that 100% though, because if he had a major pelvic fracture, there could be other things that could cause him to curve. But traditionally, that's going to be Peyronie's disease. There are things that can be done about it, but the question always is it has it been stable for a year? Is it greater than 30-degree curvature? And are you able to have intercourse successfully?
Yep.
If
you get in with the sextant and figure it out, your protractor or whatever.
We actually had guys bring in pictures.
Yeah.
We asked them to take a picture and show it to us, just so we can judge, because the treatments they're negatives. You can potentially rupture some of the tissues in the penis. It can cause the penis to get smaller.
Yeah.
So you really only want to do it if it's a severe problem.
Somebody texted they had a prostatectomy in September. Is it normal to urinate during an orgasm?
Yes.
Ooh. All right.
It's called climacturia.
It's got a cool name,
I've done one of those
too.
before.
Yeah.
Mess.
So females have one sphincter because their bladder is to urinate. Men, the genital tract is actually incorporated into the bladder. And so you actually have two sphincters. One's in the prostate, one's beyond that, the external sphincter. When you take the prostate out, that's gone. Why do you have to have two sphincters? To urinate, both have to open. To ejaculate, the one into the bladder has to close. The external one has to open. Because if you didn't have that other sphincter, the ejaculate would go back into the bladder and wouldn't go forward.
Okay. So when that one is removed, it's all coming out of the same.
So what happens is when you ejaculate, that sphincter it opens to release the semen, but you don't produce any. So instead, it just opens and there's no other sphincter, so the urine goes out. So the trick to that is, don't drink a lot of fluid before intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you go to the bathroom before intercourse. And
this is nothing that Kegels would help.
You can potentially train it away.
Yeah.
You can potentially train it away. The last thing though is if all else fails, you can wear a condom during intercourse, and then it'll catch whatever fluid comes out.
Gotcha. You pull it out, it looks like a water balloon. So, caveat emptor.
Yeah.
Can Dr. Berglund elaborate on cysts on the scrotum? I squoze one and white stuff came out. Is this normal? Should I not do this?
That's probably sebaceous cyst.
Okay.
Yeah. Oof. I won't comment on whether you should or should.
Squoze.
Squoze it.
Anytime you have to squoze something, I'd say don't do that.
Hey, Joe. Hello.
Yeah, hey, Dr. Berglund. It's been good to hear from you for the past few years, and from my understanding is that this is going to be your last time on the show.
Last time this year, Joe.
Oh, last time this year. Okay. All right. Well, I'll go to my question anyway.
Unless he tells me to F
memorable
off.
questions? Are there any memorable conversations or moments of this year or in the past years that stick out in your mind as being either very humorous or very serious or outright gross?
The one that I always remember, and there have been some great ones on here, and this was a long time ago. I don't even remember this one, but I was absolutely stymied because a woman called in and asked if you could catch HIV through a flea bite. Do you remember this?
Vaguely.
This was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So it was a great question. There's been no evidence that you can, but then we asked, why do you ask? And she was getting a ride to work every day by her best friend, who was at the time, this must have been before everybody had their HIV levels under control. She was being driven to work every day by her closest friend who had active HIV and had a flea infestation in his car. You remember that?
Oh man, I mean, it sounds kind of familiar, but
It was
I would not be able to recall that. That's a wild question.
Sounds like something from the morning show.
It was the most bizarre question.
Right.
And,
Yeah, that might as well be like a mosquito bite as well.
right, and there's no evidence of that either. So if you look at the
Cloud of
diseases
AIDS
that are
fleas.
the diseases that are transmitted by mosquitoes and ticks, et cetera, part of the life cycle of the virus is inside the insect, and there's been no evidence of that with HIV. Now, admittedly, I'm a urologist. I'm not an infectious disease doctor. I don't know if there's a theoretic way it could happen, but that's not a real source of.
There's been no evidence that would suggest that.
Correct.
Hey, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
What's up?
I got a question. I've been diabetic for roughly 30 years, and my sex life is non-existent due to not being able to maintain or get an erection. Is there anything that can be done? And I've tried the pills, I've done some stuff like that, but I'm like to the point where there's no blood flow at all down there, and it's very, very difficult to even get one.
So that's a great question. And number one, the first thing I would do is try injection therapy. You can actually inject a drug directly in the penis to give you an erection. Some diabetics, though, still don't have a very good blood supply in the penis. The last option, which works great and people love it, but it does require surgery, is you can have a penile prosthesis placed surgically that will create an erection that's honestly like you were 20 years old again. I mean, it really works very well. It has a 98% patient satisfaction rate and a 97% partner satisfaction rate. And I've got a partner who specializes in that. So it is not hopeless. There are things you can do. It's just how aggressive, how invasive you're willing to go to get that. But that's a fixable problem.
At this point, I want to be super aggressive.
If you want my
Anything will
advice,
help, yeah.
my advice, get a prosthesis. It's a great solution to that problem.
I'm going to call your office Monday.
Excellent.
All right, thank you, Tom. What is the number to call you over there?
It's 1-800-CCF-CARE. That's probably the best place to start, just because, directly to my office it just kind of would get you into this kind of scheduling morass. Just call there, and they can actually get you the right person.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, take a break here. More with Dr. Ryan Berglund, or Is It Red segment, last one of 2023. Guys, if you've got a question about some strange things going on down there, you can call it in, 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007. If you're on hold, I'll get you after the break. You can text your question. You can also leave a talkback